What an incredible game of football that was. In case you are wondering how amazing football can be, Brighton had 25 shots in that game. Crystal Palace had just 2 touches in the Brighton penalty box, and those were the 2 goals. So it just tells you how much of dominance that you can have and still lose a football match. But let's take a look at the Champions League fixtures for tonight, and we'll be previewing the big one for you tonight, but we'll be picking up the fixtures for you on the screen as well. And as you can see, Tuesday's matches sees Atletico Madrid face Chelsea, and then last year host the defending champions Bayern Munich. Well, up next, we head straight to London to preview the Chelsea versus Atletico Madrid game. And joining us via Zoom is Mayowa Quadri. I hope I got the pronunciation right, but he's a content creator for the Versus and Stoppage Time TV, and he's a good follower of Chelsea as well, so we'll be previewing the game with him. It's a pleasure to have you here today, but Chelsea do start a new journey tonight against Atletico Madrid, who are top of the La Liga table. What really is the level of expectation heading into this one? Is it one that Chelsea need to win, or the fans will just accept anything that really comes out of this?
Thanks for having me. I feel like it's one that the fans definitely want to win, and you just have to look at the manager who actually got to the Champions League final last year. We've actually been to this stage the last 4 times and been knocked out. So with everything that's gone on this season, it is that stage that we want to overcome and surely move forward against tough opposition.
Let's look at this Chelsea side and Thomas Tuchel. He dropped his first set of points in the Premier League since taking over. What's the level of readiness when you look at the team in terms of how ready they are to face this Atletico Madrid side?
It's a difficult one, because he's come in, obviously, since the departure of Lampard. Games are thick and fast, as you know, as well with the pandemic. But he's had a good look. He's used different combinations, different players, and I feel like he knows who he can and can't trust. Of course, Thiago Silva being injured is a very, very big injury. This is someone we thought may not play a lot of games due to his age, but he's just been a class above anyone else in defence. Of course, his bigger probably issue or headache is our combination at the top of the field, because we've not been as potent as he probably would like us to be. So we're not scoring the goals enough. So that will probably be where his headache is for this particular game once again.
Let's touch about the Chelsea attack going forward. Since Tuchel took over, no striker has scored more than 2 goals. What do you think is the right combination that we should be seeing in that front 3 system?
It's a good question. I feel like for this game in particular, he'd obviously trust Timo Werner. His movement off the ball, his pressing, what he offers off the ball as well, is quite key to how Tuchel wants to play. I also feel for this game, Mason Mount in that sort of attacking position is probably doing the best out of the latter. And of course, Giroud is an experienced goal scorer. Tammy can get a goal, but has not been up to his best. I would probably move Hudson-Odoi up a bit further, purely because within that the wing-back position, in the game of this magnitude, as you're learning the position, it's probably a big ask. And with Atleti's sort of attacking threats now, with Luis Suarez and the way they like to play, they're quite potent, more potent than us anyway. So it's probably better to be a bit defensive on that side and go a bit more attacking in the forward positions. That's what I would go personally.
You mentioned Hudson-Odoi, and there was a bit of an issue in that game over the weekend where he was withdrawn 30 minutes after being brought on by Thomas Tuchel. Now, he said in his presser that he's addressed the issue with the whole group. Do you think this would still play on the player's mind, or you think Hudson-Odoi has probably brushed it off and would be given his all tonight?
It's a good question. I mean, when you're a player like Callum Hudson-Odoi, who has had sort of indifferences with a previous manager before in terms of not playing as he wanted to or as the fans thought him to, it can very easily play in your mind. But I feel like he's kind of been given a new lease of life on this manager. The manager has shown a lot of faith in him and his ability. The fans have always shown that, and he's played well, even in the game that he came off it. You could argue that Well, you can't even argue. He didn't deserve to be taken off. That was probably a mistake managerial-wise. But I feel like this is a game where he can really showcase his ability on a really big stage, and one that's really needed for us. As I mentioned, each time we've come to this stage, we've been knocked out in the last 4 seasons. Last year was against Bayern Munich, who absolutely dismantled us. So, especially against Atletico, who have just lost as well, this is the time where we could really capitalise and do something.
I was just about to come on to that. So let's talk about Atletico Madrid and their dip in form. Potentially, they could have been established a double-digit gap between themselves and whoever is second, between Real Madrid and Barcelona. Unfortunately, due to their dip in form, that has just reduced to 3 points between them and Real Madrid, although they have a game in hand. Do you think this is the best time to face Atletico Madrid, and does this increase Chelsea's chances?
I do. If you look at their season, by no stretch of the imagination, they have been really good. They've not conceded many goals. It's only in recent times where they're kind of having games where they might win 4-2 or 2-1. And of course, this loss, I think it's maybe their only 4th loss of the season against Levante, all competitions. So it is a good moment, especially with their games coming up. They may have one eye looking forward and saying, we still have to play Madrid. We need to make sure that we don't lose that lead. They also have Jimenez missing, who actually picked up an injury in that game. And as we're losing Thiago Silva, that is a big miss for them. That is literally their rock in centre-half. So it is a good time to play them. It's probably the best time right now to play them. But you could argue it might be a good moment to play Chelsea, as we've just come off a draw as well. So it's it can go both ways, unfortunately.
Yeah, and also the factor of playing in Bucharest in Romania, does that also play into Chelsea's hands?
That one's an interesting one, because on the road in Europe, we have done fairly well. But I feel like, especially within what we're seeing at the moment, it could work an advantage for anyone, because it's not really a home and away game, right? It's a special occasion now. Of course, whoever wins, depending on the home and away allocation, it goes that way. But when you're playing in these one-off games, it gives that feeling for both teams that, you know what, let's go out and fight for it. No one really has that advantage, I'd say. But I would hope that, given our history with Bucharest, we could turn up.
Okay, Mayo, before we wrap up, let me hear your prediction for tonight.
So this one is one I've been deliberating. I'm gonna go 2-1 Chelsea. I'm hoping that finally we can put on a display where our forwards are scoring. I do feel like with their potency in attack and Luis Suarez, who does like playing against Chelsea, they probably will score a goal. But if we can evade their midfield, who's quite a good midfield, and get our forward scoring, we should be able to score 2 goals.
All right. Thank you very much for spending time with us this morning. And it was a pleasure. So that was Mayowa Quadri, and we spoke to him straight from London, and he's an avid follower of Chelsea, and he also works with the Versus and Stoppage Time TV as well. But that's how we'll be wrapping up the sport here. We'll be back tomorrow to bring you the latest, as well as previewing the Champions League action for Wednesday as well. My name is Oreko Ampofo, and the AM show continues right after this.